Good morning. Good morning, especially on this Sunday where we celebrate Pride. Now, that may seem like a strange thing to you, and the gospel we just heard about a king who forgave his slave all of his debts, that slave turns around and doesn't forgive those who owe him debts, and the king is not happy. What in the world does that have to do with pride? Well, first of all, this is a very strange time, isn't it? I mean, we've just lost so many things. There's a birthday party we didn't have, or a concert that we looked forward to but didn't go to. And perhaps you were looking forward to a big celebration and a parade to celebrate Pride. So how do we celebrate Pride in a time like this where there is just so much loss? And what does it mean, really, to celebrate in a time when George Floyd is murdered on the streets of Minneapolis? What does it mean to celebrate that when we have a president who seems to want to use American troops against American citizens? And then holds a Bible in front of a church as if both the Bible and the church are mere props for a photo opportunity. So there are different ways to celebrate, right? I mean, early in this movement of acceptance and love for gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, just to hold hands walking down the street was a big statement and a protest, if you will. And then we moved to parades where people were riding floats and there was all kinds of fun. And then our colleagues at work joined us, or perhaps our church joined the parade to express their support for us. And now, of course, if you go to a pride parade, what you see are a lot of gay and lesbian couples with children. Who would have thunk it, right? And yet, now, in this time of pandemic, and in this time where we're seriously asking the question, do Black lives matter? Does it matter that young black men, mostly, are being killed on the streets by our police? We've just got some big issues to look at. So how in the world do we celebrate Pride in a time like this? The reason I chose that gospel is that it asks this question, like, it asks of the servant whose debts the king has forgiven. It asks of that servant, have you learned anything? Has being forgiven by the one you owe debts to not taught you anything? Because you turn around and you don't express that kind of love and concern and acceptance and forgiveness for those who owe you debts. And so on this Pride Sunday, I want to ask that question of us, the LGBTQ community. Have we learned anything? Have we learned anything over the last 70 years about being loved and accepted for who we are? And because of that blessing that has come to us, are we prepared to love and accept all those around us? It just seems that for the servant, the king had been so good to him. What his response should have been was to be so incredibly thankful, so grateful for the grace and forgiveness shown to him, that he turns around and shows that same grace and forgiveness to others. And that's what I want to ask of our community today. And maybe this is the way to celebrate, is to take the kind of love and acceptance and grace and warmth given to us by Almighty God, and now more recently given to us by our churches. Do we want to claim what we should have learned from that, which is how life-giving and positive and and desperately needed that kind of love and acceptance is, and turn around and work day in, day out for that kind of love and acceptance for others. So maybe instead of having our own Pride March, maybe we ought to be joining the marches that are already going on with Black Lives Matter and with memories and grieving over the loss of George Floyd and so many others who have died at the hands of police, and commit ourselves to listening and seeing what we need to learn as human beings, especially if we're white human beings. Maybe the way to celebrate Pride this year is to join other marches, not pride marches, but marches for the pride and dignity of all of God's children. It seems to me that in this very odd and strange time of pandemic and asking these big social questions, that might be the way we should celebrate Pride this year. And of course, although this sounds like it's a sermon for gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, it's really a sermon for everyone, right? Because we've all experienced that kind of love and acceptance and forgiveness and joy from God. All of us have experienced that. It has always been offered to us for the taking. And so all of us ought to turn around and celebrate that love that God has for us by loving all of God's children in God's name. Now that would be a celebration worthy of going on in God's name. Bless you on this Pride Sunday. Bless you as you find a way to make yourself, your love, your God relevant in this time.